So today, we got to remove all this interior out of this thing. Completely strip it. Took my level, and I have a laser level. I set it on this lip right here, and I ran a line all the way up. And that's where I'm going. I plan on cutting this thing out. Got the rear end out of this thing. I got it in the paint booth to paint it. Welcome back. So I've got the cab mounted on it. I've got the fuel tank, both tanks plumbed into the selector switch, then into the fuel pump, into the fuel filter, and then up to the motor. And the return line comes back from the motor back into the tanks. I've got all the wiring, I believe, hooked up properly. We're going to find out. I pulled the bulkhead wiring off of the firewall of the truck, took it completely out, took it into my shop, and just, it was like spaghetti everywhere. I eliminated wires that I didn't think I needed and everything, and then I put it back in, and then I incorporated the standalone harness into that harness, and I hooked it up. From what I can find out, everything is supposed to be hooked up properly. I still have some stuff that I got to hook up, like your speed sensor, park neutral, safety switch, your brake switch, underneath the dash. That stuff underneath the dash I got to hook up, but it shouldn't affect anything as far as running, as far as starting the motor and stuff up. I do have the radiator and stuff in it. I'll show you. But I want to give you guys a quick update on where I was at with it. So I'm mounting my PCM right here. It's supposed to go under the firewall with this wiring harness, but I didn't have enough room because this is an AC model. And all the ductwork and AC stuff underneath the dash where it's supposed to go, there's just no room. That box is not exactly a small box. So I had to mount it out here, which originally they're mounted in the fire on the firewall somewhere in the original trucks anyway. And actually this mount, the box for the PCM, is actually an original box from the truck itself. So all I did was build some brackets down there to bolt to my fender, which attached to that style of mount. So I've got that mounted. I've got my fuse block mounted on the back side of it with my 2 relays. Everything for the computer is mounted right here. I've got my test port right here, right on top of it, so it's just easy to hook into to do my diagnostics and stuff if I need to. I do have to clean up some of this wiring. This stuff goes underneath the dash, and then this stuff is tied into the original bulkhead of the truck. Now, there's not very many wires that you really need out of the bulkhead. You just got to eliminate your wires that go to the original motor, the TBI. You got to eliminate those wires, and you got to hook up all your wires from your PCM goes to the left side of the bulkhead block. You don't need to mess with any other wires, just the left-hand side. It took me a while to figure it out and pull everything out and get it all organized and kind of cleaned up. Like I said, I still have to clean up some of it because I haven't connected these wires under the dash yet. These are all connected. It's my fuel pump, my ignition, and my fuel pump relay. I've got to obviously put some wire loom around that and clean it all up. And then this is obviously the motor harness right here. It goes to the computer. It ties into everything on the motor. I did leave some extra wires here out of that bulkhead. This was my coil, and then this one here, I believe it's only a 5-volt wire, and I believe it went to the original relay for the fuel pump, and it tied into the oil pressure sending unit and all that, and it was a big mess. I mean, so it took me a while. That's why I didn't record a lot of it. But I've got the radiator in. I need to get radiator hoses. I do have to get those. I got the air box mounted right here. Everything should tie in. I got to get a little boot to adapt it to the mass airflow sensor. And then I've got to take this temperature sending unit right here. The standalone is a 2-wire. It's just the 2 wires going to the ECM or PCM. But it doesn't have a wire for my sending unit for my gauge. So I'm going to have to change the temperature sending unit out to a 3-wire temperature sending unit, and then I'll have to change that plug out. And so I have a wire to hook into, or some place to hook into my gauge on my temperature. The alternator, I didn't do anything to the alternator. Somehow it's working. I don't know how. I don't understand it. But my sending unit for my gauge is actually right here. I was going to tie it into my alternator, but I turned the key on and it shows 12 and a half or 13 volts almost. So I don't know. We'll find out when we start it up. If it goes up and stuff, then it'll just, I mean, that's all I really need. This is a factory throttle cable out of the original truck. It was a 2000 1500. I had to put a spacer on the firewall. I had to bring the firewall out a little bit to make up the difference because it was a little longer. I could have cut the end of this and just took the slack out of it and put one of those crimps and stuff on it, but I just put a spacer on the firewall. That way, if I was to buy one, I could just buy one later on for that truck that this motor came out of, and it would hook right in. So to me, it was just easier. And so I still have to hook up my 4-wheel drive shifter. I still have to get a drive line, but everything should be hooked up. I just got to do, I'm just working on wire looms right now and cleaning up some of this wiring. But I want to hook it up or fire it up first and make sure it's going to run good. I want to change these cables out. So I'm going to do that really quick. I want to change them out to the top post because I don't really care for the side posts, to be honest. There's that one. All right. There's that. There's that. Let's see what happens here. Show you the mess I got going on in here. So these are all the wires that come in. This plug used to come into the original computer that was underneath the dash, and then these wires here are all the wires coming from the new computer, which I have to tie into these wires right here and then tuck it up in there nice and neat. And then I've got some of the ductwork removed so I can just get into it. I've got my selector switch here hooked up for my tanks. It's all working. It's getting there. So Here before too long. Well, I got to get radiator hoses. There is a steam port that I got to hook up into that radiator from this motor because the new motors have a steam port on them. I've got to extend the mass airflow sensor wire, get that on, get the radiator or fan shroud on. Got to get that in. I might have to modify the fan shroud because I'm using the one for the Suburban. I don't have one for the other motor, for the LS motor, so I'm probably going to have to modify that one a little bit. We'll see when we get it in there, but I got to hook up the four-wheel drive shifter. I've got to get a drive on built, so I'll get that measurement and get that ordered. All right, so what I'm doing now is I've got to get these wires here. These come from the computer, the new computer, and then these are from the old computer, the original wiring harness in the dash. I've got to tie these in here. There's only certain ones I got to tie in. So I'm going to clean this up. I got the instructions here. When I pulled the old computer out, the TBI computer, this one, I labeled everything on that for pinout. So that's what these tabs here are. All right, so I got all the wires under the dash taken care of. I got to tighten up this duck, part of the ducking here, and then I got to get this piece. It's got to go back up underneath there like something. I think like that, I believe. I don't know. I'll have to get over on that side and look at it. So... there. Let's see where, how this goes. All right. This. Assuming that these are the factory speakers. Wires. Yeah, there's one on this side and that side. This back in there. The interior is all cleaned up. I've got the dash all put together. The wires are all taken care of under the dash. Shifter and all that stuff's all hooked up, so I'm just waiting for carpet. But before I put the carpet in, I've got to come in here and scuff all this up and wash it down and paint this inside to match, obviously, that gray. Alright, so I vinyl sprayed this carpet here. This is the front section of the carpet. I'm waiting for it to dry, and then I'll probably go over it again. This one here is still wet from pressure washing it. So, but you can see the stains everywhere in it. This carpet here looked like that too, but there's still some showing through, like right in here in this area. So I'll have to go over it again once everything dries, scuff it up, get all the loose stuff off of it, and then spray it again. That's where we're at, guys. It's Mother's Day today, so I got to head over to my parents to spend the rest of the day with them. We're going to have a barbecue and stuff. And so, thanks for watching, guys. I just wanted to catch you up. I didn't do a lot of recording and stuff on a lot of the tedious stuff like the wiring and all that, because I'm just not an electronics guy, and to try to record something that I'm still learning myself, it was just really frustrating. And anyway, so I just didn't get it done. It was taking more time than what I wanted it to take. But I appreciate you guys. Till next time.